In this episode of Detroit Performs, Art's Impact on Michigan, celebrating a Michigan arts champion, and storytellers form a community. It's all ahead on this edition of Detroit Performs.
Funding for Detroit Performs is provided by Masco Corporation is proud to manufacture innovative and environmentally friendly products for the home. Delta faucets, craft-made in Merillat cabinets, and Behr brand paints have all been designed with you in mind. Masco and its family of companies, serving Michigan communities since 1929. Funding is also provided by the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs, the National Endowment for the Arts, the A. Paul and Carol C. Scott Foundation, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Detroit Performs. I'm your host, DJ Oliver, and today I'm at the Janice Charach Gallery located in the Jewish Community Center of Metro Detroit. Now in this episode, we are all about celebrating the arts. That's why we're telling the stats and stories of arts organizations. First up, Creative Minis. Creative State Michigan Report details the impact of Michigan arts and cultural nonprofit organizations that impact the state's economy and its citizens. See how art influences now.
Humans are innately creative, and the arts express our humanity.
Engaging in art can foster a sense of identity and belonging.
The arts are an opportunity to know other people better.
If we don't have arts, we don't really have a soul. So they're just absolutely vital to our community.
The arts has helped with the resurgence of Detroit. It's changed the perception of Detroit.
Artists are powerful civic, social, and economic forces in Michigan communities. They expand what's possible by engaging others to explore ideas, to resolve community issues, and transform places through creativity.
The arts and the creative industries are 4.2% of GDP, which is more than agriculture, more than transportation, more than construction.
The arts and creative expression have been a key and core part of the development of the city, of the reputation of the city.
You walk the streets of Detroit and you feel vitality, you feel creativity.
In 2016, Michigan's cultural activities generated more than $1.3 billion in direct tourism spending by visitors. That's 12.6% of total spending for all Michigan leisure. That's pure Michigan.
Michigan is within 4.5-hour drive of approximately 50 million people. So if we have people coming here for the arts, it'll be an enormous boom to our economy.
It's really about jobs. It's also about people that are trained and learn or take classes in the arts or exposed to it.
Michigan is home to nearly 89,000 artists, arts organizations, entrepreneurs, and more than 10,000 creative businesses, hundreds of arts education programs and practitioners, and a grassroots network of community stakeholders who believe in the power of creativity to transform people and places.
We are very fortunate in this community to have so many opportunities for young people to walk down the street and go into a museum and be inspired.
Michigan students need access to arts and culture. Nonprofit arts and cultural organizations are at the core of a vibrant community. They offer a venue, and in some cases, the only outlet for arts education, innovation, entertainment, and cultural enrichment.
The arts make the place the place. They help bring out what's authentic about a community. They help define what's special about a community. And so then they attract people to want to learn about it and be part of it.
Michigan is home to creative, imaginative, and powerful individuals and organizations that are applying out-of-the-box thinking, developing new ideas, leading product development, and providing a competitive edge for lifelong learning.
The arts are important for a community, both from developing its cohesiveness, but a place that has a lot of arts also has fewer issues.
Artists are able to help channel that creativity into ways that can lift up what's happening in the community and maybe offer a sense of inspiration for what else can be.
Detroit loves its art. Detroit is very proud of its culture.
You find arts and creativity everywhere in Michigan, everywhere that you go, everywhere that you are, everything that you do.
We've only begun to realize the potential of the creative industries in Michigan. So much remains untapped to really understand and support the needs of those who make Michigan a more creative and dynamic place.
Artists leave us with their soul, and it's the art they leave behind that keeps us whole.
You can learn more about Creative Mini as well as all the artists that we feature on DetroitPerforms.org. Next up, a tribute to John Bracey, the retired head of the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs. Now, through some good times and through some very challenging times, John has continued to fight for funding that is so vital to the state's cultural organizations. Now, Detroit Performs and MCACA gathered some of John's friends and colleagues to just say thanks for his important work. Check it out, y'all.
When you think of MCACA, you think of John Bracey.
John is thoughtful, he's caring, he has a great deal of empathy for other people.
There are a few people, as I look back in my life, that bring tears to my eyes because I couldn't have done it without them, and it was John.
I hope that he knows that I'm just like a significantly better person having known him.
The Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs is the state agency, within the Michigan Economic Development Corporation.
The council is responsible for spreading out tax dollars.
John Bracey is the perfection of a grant maker and as a champion of the arts.
He recognized that the arts were sort of being moved out of the prominence that they needed to be in, and that he needed to really put his muscle, his capacity to assure that the arts were firmly embedded in our community.
I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that the council might not exist were it not for John Bracey.
When the state had decided to move the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs under the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, John saw the vision and he embraced that, and he really worked hard to show the alignment between the arts and the economy.
He can speak about it with a passion, but with understanding and real nuts and bolts numbers to show its viability.
Under his leadership, we've been able to increase arts funding every year.
John truly believes that the arts connect people, that they create opportunities for communities to come together. He also knows that the arts actually are a pathway for people to recapture hope.
He's seen its positive impacts, the way it brings smiles to young people's faces, the way it can really uplift a community.
John has some of the deepest knowledge I've ever encountered in grant making for arts and culture. He has always championed local arts organizations to make their own funding grants because they know their local organizations better than anybody else.
He just helped me to believe in myself. And then the value of what I was doing.
He's just a really great representative of our sector also. He's a person that's always trying to get more resources to our state.
John has truly shaped arts policy nationwide. Representatives from other states told me how lucky Michigan is to have John. They often seek his guidance, his expertise, and they really regard Michigan as a success story.
His retirement would be a loss for our sector if he had not given us so much. But there's just so much of John in our ecosystem still, and there will always be.
He set the standard of the ethics of the way this council is run, and I believe that will continue.
He's a colleague who can help get to the heart of any matter and get to solutions while still having fun. And thank goodness for us, his brand of fun is infectious.
As much as you think you know John, there's always like another layer of John that's underneath that you just can't quite find, and all of a sudden it pops up and surprises you.
John's humor is probably one of the more defining characteristics. When I said that, then I also thought about his hair and his mustache. They're notable and intense.
He has a really great sense of humor, and it comes right through in email. Like when my assistant gets these crazy emails from John, she's like, "What?" I'm like, no, relax. That's just John being funny.
He has a group of guys that he plays golf with, and they've created this whole new art form called Goku, which kind of unifies haiku with golf.
He's like a brilliant man, and these limericks will come out, and they're hilarious. I just will miss knowing that he's there, that I can come down and talk to him and have a beer with him.
John and I share a lot, but one thing that we've always shared is at the end of the day, we know that it's important to share a beer. So John, here's to your retirement. I hope you have a great time, and I can't wait to see what the next chapter holds for you. Way to go, John.
What's up, guys? I am here with Kelly Kaatz, who is the director here at the Janice Charach Gallery. So, Kelly, tell us a little bit about this gallery.
This gallery opened in 1990 and was named after Janice Charach, who sadly passed away. Her parents opened it in her name.
We featured a lot of the artists on the show that you guys have here in the exhibit right now. Vito Valdez, Sidney G. James. So can you tell us about this exhibit here?
So this show was curated about a year ago, and we invited 12 artists who usually do murals and projects outside. So they created a body of work just to exhibit in this show.
And how do you pick artists to come here and be featured?
It depends. So we usually curate a show, or we accept proposals. Sometimes we do open calls for art. Every show, it just depends. We do about 6 exhibitions a year.
Yep, and how long have you been working here?
6 years.
So what's that process been like to work here?
10 years ago, I would have never thought I'd be working in a gallery. So I was hired part-time to curate 1 show a year, and then it just kind of went off from there.
So what do you have upcoming?
The next show, we're featuring 3 Chinese American artists that are going to be on the lower level. And on the upper level, we are doing a show with a lot of different local artists called Origins.
Now, we talked about this being inside the Jewish Community Center, so where can people come to find this place?
It's in West Bloomfield. Okay. We do opening receptions before every show, and it's open to the public. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, our website.
And when are you guys open?
We're open Sunday through Thursday.
So let's talk about the demographic of the audience here in this area here. What's the demographic like?
Well, our openings have been great. I mean, we bring people in from all over Southeast Michigan and beyond. This opening, we had people come from Jackson, Toledo, Midland, Detroit, everywhere. We had about 500-600 people come through, and they were just all walks of life.
Wow,
it was
like
really
that.
fun, yeah.
Right. So what is your favorite part about working here, Kelly?
Meeting the artists and working with them and trying to get their goal, like working with them to get their body of work to work together as they want it. We're we're a gallery that pushes experimentation among the artists. So we always want artists to make a new body of work, and I like to help them kind of fulfill that goal.
I like that. All right, well, thank you, Kelly. We appreciate that here at Detroit Performs. Kelly Kaatz, everybody. We got the same birthday too, y'all. All right, guys, let's check out some upcoming events happening in and around the D. Washington, D.C. Story District is a group of storytellers who workshop and perform at local theaters. Let's take a glimpse into their community.
What makes a good story is a great question.
That's a very good question.
Let's see. I've heard a good story is one that makes the audience laugh and then cry and then laugh again.
The thing is, I don't give them candy all the time, but I just give them enough to have the Pavlovian response going on, where, like they associate me with candy, so I basically become the Willy Wonka of West Africa.
I think that some of the best stories come from imperfection in the world. So considering I have a cornucopia of catastrophic failures in my life, I think that kind of helps me as far as being a storyteller.
I think it has to be entertaining is probably primary, but beyond that, it needs to take the audience from one place to another.
Where I was headed is a place of great suffering and pain. The Catholics call it purgatory. I just call it another day at work.
Mystery and surprise.
I know that what I'm going to tell you is going to be very difficult to believe, but English is not my native language.
The last line, I think that's the most important part of any piece of writing. That's what I tell my students. I teach writing, actually, that as long as you end a piece in a powerful way and you leave your reader feeling satisfied, you've probably got a good story.
My mom, who had always been banned from driving the Blazer, snuck out to drive it and promptly crashed it.
What I believe makes a good story is a story that is cinematic, a story that you can see.
My classmates had seen me, not Pedro, not if you vote for me, all your wildest dreams will come true. They saw me, and they decided that I was worth voting for.
So it happens in a time and place. I'm invested in the protagonist. I'm rooting for them, and I can see it unfold. So for me, that's really important.
I had won vice presidency. What? What?
My name is Amy Sedman, and I am the Artistic Executive Director of Story District. Story District is a nonprofit arts organization in Washington, D.C. dedicated to the art of autobiographical storytelling. So we promote the art through live performances, classes, coaching, and corporate trainings. The Washington Storytellers Theater would bring in storytellers from around the country that were professionals in storytelling, and they would do a range of personal stories. And they started something they called the Speakeasy, which was this once a month open mic on the second Tuesday. By 2005, that turned into Speakeasy DC. We shifted the mission. We no longer brought in these storytellers from out of town, and we just focused on the Speakeasy model, which was local people telling their own true stories.
We are the unseen, unknown underbelly of the legal world. We are the taint of jurisprudence.
With Story District, they take each and every storyteller and work with them on their stories. And I think that as a performer, that's great because you never feel like you're going to be out there by yourself and to fall flat.
You're not quite answering the question you set up. The question you set up at the beginning is like, the main thing we try to teach is, because this is first person and true storytelling, is to be able to put yourself into the story, to really let people in on what you're thinking, feeling, how you're reacting as things are happening, not just giving a plot by plot, kind of blow by blow.
I was 19 years old, and I was convinced that every man who looked at me desired me. The city I'm from, in Pakistan, Peshawar, there's a bazaar there called the Storytellers Bazaar, so it's in my DNA, I guess. But I think that going through Story District, it's taught me kind of how to craft a story, how to make it more interesting, how to get people involved. I want to say what's important to me, not what people think I should say.
Now, one of the main issues that I had with the English language was that I didn't know the difference between the letter J and the SH. I pronounce it the same way. So I'm at this happy hour, and this guy that I'm talking to assumes that I'm a Catholic because I come from Argentina. But I set him straight, and I say, I'm a shoe. And then I added, there are many shoes in Argentina.
They are always inviting people to come on the stage and tell stories. It's not just the regulars that come to the show and say, this is my story, hear me. They're not actors.
I would spend a little more time of recreating that scene and take more time in that scene.
The storytelling experience does seem to have a real communal feel, just in terms of the rehearsals that I've experienced so far. There's a lot of workshopping going on, a lot of really supportive feedback from other people that are doing the same thing.
Awesome! All right, good job.
I think the storytelling community has been one of the most exciting ones that I've been a part of in my 4 years in D.C. because people are just so interested in who you are and so welcoming, and you really get to connect with people on a different level than something more superficial.
For the next year and a half, I trained those little kids like they're dolphins,
Oh, I think storytelling is a very communal experience. The moment we had caves and a fire, that's when stories were told. Thousands of years from now, if we're still around, we're still going to be telling stories. You can't really tell a story if you're by yourself. You need an audience. It's a symbiotic relationship.
People come from all areas, diversities, and they come and they just realize, oh, I maybe haven't gone through that exact same experience as a person telling the story, but I can relate to it, or I felt that way before, and they connect with people who are otherwise virtual strangers.
My favorite thing after a show is when, and I will say this out loud, I'll be like, people are happy. People left happy. You can really feel it. Like the cast is happy and the crowd is happy, and it's an amazing feeling. What an amazing feeling that that's the work we did. That's pretty great.
And that wraps it up for this edition of Detroit Performs. As always, for more arts and culture, head to DetroitPerforms.org, where you'll find featured videos, blogs, and information on upcoming arts events. Also, check us out on Facebook and Twitter. I'd like to thank the Janice Charach Gallery for letting me tour this wonderful place. Until next Tuesday, get out there and show the world how Detroit performs, y'all. I'm DJ Oliver. Thanks for watching, guys.
Funding for Detroit Performs is provided by Masco Corporation is proud to manufacture innovative and environmentally friendly products for the home. Delta faucets, craft-made in Merillat cabinets, and Behr brand paints have all been designed with you in mind. Masco and its family of companies, serving Michigan communities since 1929. Funding is also provided by the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs, the National Endowment for the Arts, the A. Paul and Carol C. Scott Foundation, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.